There's a strange kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from work or age or even problems. It comes from always being available, always replying, always explaining, always showing up, even when no one really notices you're there. And if you're honest, you've felt this before, that quiet moment when you start wondering, if I stopped reaching out, would anyone notice? Not in a dramatic way, not to prove a point, just out of curiosity, because somewhere deep down, you're tired of being the one who remembers, the one who checks in, the one who keeps things alive. And the hardest part, you don't even know when it became your role. It just happened, slowly, over the years of being dependable, understanding, present. But what no one tells you is this. When you're always there, people stop feeling what it means to lose access to you. They get used to you, and sometimes they start valuing you less, not because you changed, but because you never step away long enough for them to feel your absence. So here's a question that might feel uncomfortable, but honest. What would actually happen if you disappeared for 30 days? Not to punish anyone, not to play games, but to finally see who notices, who reaches out, and who quietly lets you fade. 1. The quiet disappearance no one talks about. There's a kind of disappearing that doesn't happen all at once. It doesn't come with an announcement. No one sits you down and says, "You're fading." It happens quietly, in the small moments no one notices. When you stop sending that first message just to see what happens, when you don't remind people about things anymore, and suddenly nothing happens at all, when you decide, just for a while, to step back and watch, and at first you tell yourself it's nothing. They're just busy. Life gets in the way. It doesn't mean anything. But days pass, and something inside you begins to feel different. Not angry, not even sad in a loud way, just aware. Aware of how much effort you were putting in, aware of how many conversations only existed because you kept them alive. And maybe the hardest realization of all is not that people forgot you, it's that they never reached the way you did. You start noticing the silence, the phone that doesn't light up, the conversations that don't start, the space that no one fills, and suddenly you're not just taking a break from people, you're seeing the truth of where you stand in their lives, not through words, but through absence. And that truth, it doesn't shout. It settles slowly, right in the middle of your chest. 2. The moment it starts to hurt. At some point, the silence stops feeling like an experiment, and it starts feeling real. You wake up one morning and instinctively reach for your phone, not because you expect something big, just something small. A message, a name, a sign that someone thought of you, but there's nothing there, and you tell yourself it's okay. You put the phone down, you move on with your day. But something lingers, because deep down, you remember how it used to be, how conversations didn't need effort, how your presence didn't feel optional, how you didn't have to disappear just to be noticed. And that's when it hits you, not all at once, but in pieces. You weren't just present in people's lives. You were the one holding things together. You were the message, the reminder, the energy. And without you doing that, everything quietly stops. That realization, it doesn't make you angry. It makes you tired. Tired of always being the one who reaches. Tired of wondering if you matter the same way. Tired of giving your presence without ever feeling its absence. 3. What absence reveals that presence hides. After a while, something unexpected begins to happen. The silence that once felt heavy starts to feel clear, not easier, but clearer. Because when you step back long enough, you begin to see things you couldn't see before. You notice who never reaches out, not because they're busy, but because they're comfortable without you. You notice who only responds, but never initiates. And maybe you notice the one person you kept ignoring all along. Yourself. Because for so long, your attention was always outward, checking on others, maintaining connections, keeping things alive. You didn't realize how little of that energy was coming back to you. But now, in this space you created, you start to feel something unfamiliar. Your own presence, your own thoughts, without interruption, your own time, without expectation. And slowly, you stop waiting for your phone to light up. You stop checking, hoping, wondering, not because you don't care anymore, but because you're finally seeing the truth. Not every connection deserves your constant presence. Some only survive because you refuse to let them end, and that's not a connection, that's effort, carried by one side. And once you truly see that, you can't unsee it. 4. What happens after you stop chasing? And then, something changes, not outside, but inside you. You stop checking your phone every few minutes. You stop wondering who might reach out. You stop replaying conversations in your head, not because everything suddenly feels perfect, but because you're no longer chasing what isn't chasing you. There's a different kind of peace in that. A quiet one. The kind that doesn't need validation, doesn't need replies, doesn't need constant connection to feel real. You begin to understand something most people learn too late. Your presence is valuable, but only where it's felt, and when it's not. You don't force it anymore. You don't try harder. You don't explain yourself. You don't remind people of your worth. You simply step back, and in that space, you start rebuilding something you didn't even realize you lost: your self-respect. Because real power isn't being needed by everyone. It's in knowing you don't need to be. It's in choosing where you show up, instead of proving why you should be valued. And maybe, the most surprising part of all this is, some people will notice your absence. Some will reach out. Some will realize your value, only after feeling the space you left behind. But others won't. And for the first time, that won't break you, because now you understand their silence was never a reflection of your worth. It was a reflection of their awareness. So after 30 days, you don't just see what happens next. You see clearly who belongs in your life as it moves forward. Maybe you didn't need 30 days to disappear. Maybe you just needed a moment like this to finally see things clearly, because the truth is, you were never asking for too much. You were just giving it to the wrong places. You gave your time, your attention, your presence, hoping it would be felt the same way. And for a long time, you didn't question it. You just kept showing up. But now, something inside you is shifting. Not in a loud way, not with anger, but with a quiet understanding that feels different. You're starting to realize that your presence is not something to be constantly offered. It's something to be valued. And where it's not valued, it's okay to step back. Not to prove a point, not to make anyone feel something, but to finally give yourself the space you've been giving everyone else. And maybe that's what this was really about. Not disappearing from people, but reconnecting with yourself. If this message felt personal to you, if somewhere in these words you saw your own story, then I want you to know something. You're not the only one going through this. There's a small space I've created for people who want to explore these thoughts more deeply, more honestly, without the noise. If you feel like being part of that, you'll find it in the description. And if not, just take this with you. You don't lose people by stepping back. You discover who was never truly there.